Okay, we're going to be showing application for our Fitstick Pro. We want to first, again, go over anchoring. Make sure that you are anchored into a stud, whether it be wood or a reinforced wall. In the commercial settings, your studs are going to be those steel commercial studs. Do not anchor these into that. With this piece of equipment, you can tend to use a lot more resistance, or people will get further away. You're going to put a lot more stress on your anchoring system, so please, safety first, make sure you're anchored properly. What I'm going to show here is with core strengthening, which is so important you know, for helping people with low back pain or instability, lack of body control. I like to train the core in kind of an asymmetrical fashion. So often, so much exercise, as we know, is just so geared towards that flexion, and we end up with too much flexion, and then we end up with disc, you know, all these different types of injuries that come from doing that, and we overtrain those rectus abdominis muscles, and we ignore all the others. And so I like to use that asymmetrical principle to force one side over the other, and then, you know, switch and make it a little bit more challenging. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook to one side. Again, we got these ball bearings, so we get a lot of free, easy motion there. She's going to turn out, face that way. She's going to get out into our working space that we've already laid out. And as you can see her right now, a key thing when you're using this, I'm giving you some tips here. She's leaning forward right there at that subtalar joint. She's leaning into it, so already you're starting her off in she's recruiting other things that we may not be targeting. She's kind of cutting some core out because she's just going to go ahead and lean on it and use her body weight. So let's have her step back until she can hold more of a neutral posture, better sagittal balance. Take just a little itty bitty step back right there. Okay, so now go shoulder width apart for me, feet shoulder width apart. And just something different, you know, you can have them put their arms straight out in front of them now, adding the resistance. Just that by itself is trying to rotate her. So she's having to use all the counter rotation muscle recruitments and all those things. Then you make it more dynamic. Go ahead and squat for me. And that's a much larger challenge. You can see all kinds of funny things she's starting to recruit. So this is your opportunity then to get in here and coach them, help them stay straight. It's a totally different challenge for a squat. You see we've got her knees coming in quite a bit because she's trying to recruit those adductors in her legs to prevent herself from rotating around. So a whole new challenge, whole new concept to coach through. It's a lot of fun, and I love using new things and new techniques and learning new stuff to implement in rehab or sports performance. Okay, good job. Okay, we've gone ahead and hooked her up to both sides now, so now we're going to use more of you know, symmetrical resistance. And again, you can use this piece of equipment for so many different things. I'm just kind of you know, putting some things out there to get your gears turning and seeing how this applies to your clinic and the way you do things. She's going to hold it against her chest. Again, we're going to watch for her to be recruiting other things to offset that resistance. If that's happening, you get them closer to the anchor. She's standing up nice and straight right now, so I want to challenge her a little bit more. Go ahead and take a little bit of a step back. She's still doing pretty well about not recruiting, but her shoulders are starting to move forward, so I'm going to keep her right there, okay? So what I'm going to have her do is just keep that held up against her chest and just ever so slightly engage into lumbar extension, just a little bit. I just want to work some of these lumbar erector spinae, multifidi, those types of muscles. Go ahead, as you're doing that, what I want you to do is kind of engage the glutes so that then we can kind of get more of a posterior chain activation on this. Really small movement, really easy. She now can get underneath and face the other way for me. And we can add some other challenges. You know, again, watching her posture. She's having to use the core to keep herself upright. That's a big thing. For me, when they lean forward, they're bailing out. It's really hard to keep themselves from falling over and stand up straight. So this is a really fun challenge I like to do. You gotta be careful, stay and watch the client or patient, but go ahead and slowly raise your hands up over your head and keep your posture neutral. You see her start to shake. It really pulls kind of those deep, you know, core muscles to keep that sagittal balance really good. I really like doing this one with people who really have that really bad upper cross syndrome and they're like this. I really like to get that core firing, get some standing up a little bit more straight. So that's another challenge that you can give with this piece of equipment.